the younger generation, um, um, dare I say it, just immediately getting affirmed in their gender confusion
Yeah,
instead of
gender confusion.
getting the trauma therapy,
That's right.
or
That's right.
making sure that there is no autism,
That's right.
or making sure that there is no personality disorder.
Hey everybody, I caught myself another one. Ooh, I can't wait to get into this. But, before we start, I always like to tell you to please like, please subscribe. Oh gosh, it's helping me so much. And please send this out to as many people as you think would really enjoy these interviews, because these people show up and some of them are across the world and it's late and they still show up. So, know that we're all trying to make things better here. So I appreciate you really pushing my channel and helping me get more, likes and subscriptions and all of that kind of stuff. So, and ring that little bell thing. So, that being said, okay, today we have somebody that I met on the internet and we've been chatting, and I really like this guy a lot, and he seems really smart and awesome. and so I'm going to have Marnix. Is that how you pronounce your name, Marnix?
Yes, Marnix.
Marnix.
Yes.
So hi, Marnix. It's super excited to see you.
Hi.
And so I would love for you to just introduce yourself here, and then we'll get on with an interview.
All right, cool. Thank you so much for having me. It's really cool. I'm really nervous, actually. Um, yeah. So a bit about me. I came. Where do I
Okay,
start,
here. That's
actually?
okay. That's okay. I'll lead you, dude. Don't worry about it. So here you go. It's okay to be nervous. A lot of people are nervous. It's hard to get in front of the camera, and that's why I just said
Yeah.
to everybody watching out there, you have to understand not everybody is comfortable in front of the camera, but they put themselves here,
Well,
and that means a lot.
actually,
Yeah.
actually, I did start my own YouTube channel.
Excellent.
Um,
Excellent.
yes, and
Excellent.
that's also like my whole
Excellent.
story is around that, and or no, my YouTube channel is around my whole story.
Okay,
um
great.
but
Great. So
yeah,
so yeah, I
sorry.
want people to, no, no, it's okay. Here, let me just say this. I want people to first off understand who you are. So are you, how old are you?
Exactly, yeah. Just to make sure, I'm a trans man,
Right,
so female to male.
right.
And I my trans experience is within the binary.
Okay,
um I am 29 years old. I turned
okay.
30, which makes me feel finally like a real adult. And
Okay,
um, um, yeah, so obviously I go by he, him,
okay.
but I came out 2 years ago. But I've always known that there was something wrong with me, even though as a kid I didn't experience it so much as something that was wrong with me.
Mhm,
It was just that I was one of the boys. And then
okay.
once puberty hit, it hit hard. And
Right.
that's when the confusion actually started. Because when you're a little kid, you're kind of like, I think kids tend to be gender neutral. And they, through experience, they learn, okay, this is a, what it is to be a boy, and this is what it means to be a girl.
Right, right.
So yeah, so
So
I've
so here, let me let
always
me
known.
let me ask you a couple here, so a couple questions. So you're a
Yeah, sure.
trans man, and you transitioned from a female to live as a male.
Yes.
How many years ago did you do that?
2 years ago,
Two
I
years.
came out.
Okay.
Although my journey itself has
Uh-huh.
been like forever. It has been a really lonely journey.
Mhm.
Um, I remember I was 12 years old, and just a year before I started high school. Um, and I saw something on television, like the children's network,
Mhm.
and it was, I don't know if you mind if I sometimes, like, this the title of this program is Dutch, so like
That's
doesn't
okay.
make sense
Just
to
say it.
translate, but like
Sure.
it was from Lucas to Lucy,
Oh, okay. Right.
van
Right.
Lucas naar Luus.
Right.
Lucy. And
Right.
I remember thinking, like, it was like the first time I actually heard about transgender, being
Mhm.
trans, but I didn't really register that. I just remember it was such a moment of, um, wait, I'm not strange. I'm not weird. Um, there are people like me, because the thought that I had when I was 12 watching this girl was, wow, she is going through the same thing, but like
Mhm.
reversed.
Mhm.
And so I always knew, grew up with two brothers.
Mhm.
And actually, that's not where my story starts. Yeah, so I am comfortable with, just talking. I just
So where
tend
did
to
you come?
sometimes lose my
Mhm. That's
train
okay.
of
I'll lead
thought.
you. So what? So first off, I want to know where are you from? I think you told me Colombia.
Yes, so I
Okay.
was born in Colombia,
Okay.
and yeah, it's the start of my life
Mhm.
wasn't easy.
Mhm.
The first 3 years, I lived with my birth mother, who um, was a uh, I'll try to keep it short because it's really emotional.
All
But
right.
she was a teenage mother. She was
Okay.
13 when she got my older brother, and
Oh,
it was not her choice. So,
yeah.
if you know what I mean,
Of course.
and that's a normal thing there. Um,
Wow.
what I cannot understand is the following. Um, so she was 13 when she got my older brother. Then it happened again. Then she got me. And as a child herself with two babies,
Yeah.
she didn't get any help from her family, even though
Wow.
they are really interested to get to know me, of course, right now.
Right.
Uh,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
because I live in the Western world. But well, anyways, so she didn't receive help from family or authorities. There was no, how do you call that, child support system.
Yeah. Yep.
um, Instead, they made her, basically, because she was literally surviving. Sometimes we didn't have foods. We 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 didn't have a home. We slept on floors. Um, so she ended up, or like, I feel like it was like her kids were taken away. She never stopped loving us,
Mhm.
and I think that's beautiful. And I also think that is kind of like, her love for us was what kept me going through all the shit that happened afterwards. So the thing is, in back then in the 90s, it was 98. Um, uh, Imagine like white people, a couple
Yeah.
of white people with money,
Yeah.
they fly over to Colombia
Yeah.
and they get the kids.
Adopt. They adopted you.
Yes, I'm adopted.
So in Colombia, the government took away the children, took you away from your mother, all three of you.
Yes,
I see. And then you were in a situation where you could be adopted by other people,
yes.
and white
So I
people
don't
came.
know if it's like, if we
Mhm.
can say the government, but at least like the local authorities, or
Well, the
like the
authorities.
organization that.
That's a good point. Authorities, but the authorities are connected somehow to the government, are they
Well,
not?
yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah,
so okay. So
yeah,
they took away because they felt your mother being unfit to raise you as kids. So they took you away from your mother, who
yeah,
didn't want that to
yeah.
happen.
But
Yeah.
no, but
Yeah.
she was a kid herself. So
That's
instead of
right. That's
helping
right.
her too, because she was a kid herself. So,
That's right.
anyways, that's like a whole other story.
No, it's an important part of the
That
story. It's an important
it,
part
it
of the
is,
story.
it
Yeah.
is,
Yes.
and I do want to like create content around
Yes.
that topic,
Yes.
because international, or like multi um, national
Yeah.
adoptions are
Yeah.
just strange
Very much
practices.
so. That's a whole
Yeah.
other thing we can get into. I would like to actually
Yeah.
interview you specifically on that. So now the white
Okay.
family comes to, are they from the Netherlands?
The Netherlands.
So they come
So
over to
I was four
adopt you.
years old.
Oh
Yes,
wow.
and
Okay. Okay.
I was 4 years old by that time, and we
Okay.
flew all the way to the Netherlands, my two brothers and me.
So they
So
adopted all three of you.
at the same time.
Well,
The
that's
thing
actually
is,
kind of a good thing.
yeah, yes, yes, exactly. It's also part of my story.
Yeah, sure.
um, so luckily, I never have been all by myself
Yeah.
in the whole drama. Am I allowed to swear? Actually,
Of course, go ahead. I'll just bleep it
like
out.
the whole shit show
Yeah.
that became my life. Um, so the thing is, there were like procedures for them, the people that raised me,
Mhm.
to be able to adopt us. So there were
Okay.
like psychological tests also.
Wow.
I do not know how that woman was able to cheat the tests, or like what happened there. Um, so
Wow.
I lived with mother, a narcissistic mother figure,
Wow.
which was really, like, in itself is really troublesome. I don't know if they're like, I think people that grew up with narcissists
Yep.
in the family, they know, they
That's right.
understand.
That's right.
Yeah, but it was especially troublesome because of us being adopted. So that comes with a specific set of traumas.
Yes. Yes.
And then me being gender dysphoric. So I was um, there like it got physical whenever I had to wear a dress that I didn't want to wear.
Oh,
Um, Things like
okay.
that.
Okay.
Um,
So on some level, your dysphoria was starting at this age, at 4, and you were not comfortable
yeah,
wearing dresses, or
no,
feeling. And your mother, adopted mother, was not okay with that, and she was sort of.
very conservative, and
Okay.
we were raised Catholic,
Okay.
which I don't
Okay.
mind,
Important.
but
No, of course not. But still, that can do some things for sure. So you were
yes.
raised Catholic.
Hmm. And
Mhm.
yeah, sorry, no, you just ask me.
No, no, no. This is so fascinating. So fascinating, the part that you were adopted, and then so now you're being raised by this family with your brothers, which is kind of
Yeah,
great, right?
it was great to have each other. I remember one day we were talking about, oh, she keeps doing that, and like, um, which was, well, yeah, let's say abuse. I will not go into the specifics because I'm still kind
Yeah.
of like
No,
figuring
no,
out where
that's
this
okay.
plays a role in my life, and but it, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and I remember the three of us. We were really small kids, like 8, 9, 10, talking with each other. Who is gonna talk to her and tell her that, like, ask her if she wants to stop doing that?
Tell me
And
specifically what. Can you tell me specifically what she was doing?
um,
Like
I
yelling
mean,
at you, or was it mental abuse? Did you find it was more mental
mentally,
abuse?
physically,
Physically.
um,
Mm,
yeah. But
mm,
and there were like patterns in it, and as
mm.
kids we already
So
noticed
that's right.
like this the pattern, and
That's right.
also because we knew when we were in the wrong, like
Yeah,
as a kid, you know, when you are like pushing
that's right.
boundaries.
Yep.
um but yeah, that was just another level. And I was early teenage years when I asked her, "Mom, when you're angry with me, can you stop being physical with me? Like, please, can you not touch me?"
Mm-hmm.
And so she stopped at some, like, on some level, she stopped being physical with me. I think because I was a girl, but it continued with my brothers.
Mm.
Yes. Um, and then actually, the show really started because when my older brother was 15, he got kicked out and he was sent to a better place where they could help him. It was a, how do you call it? A juvenile?
Yeah, like a juvenile detention, or
Yes.
for kids who are
Detention
bad. Yeah.
where there wasn't mental help.
Wow.
It really fucked him up.
Oh yeah.
Really fucked him up.
And this is in the
Then 3 years later,
Netherlands? Is all this
in
in
the
the Netherlands?
Netherlands, it's called, here in the Netherlands, it's jeugdzorg,
Okay.
the youth support
Uh-huh.
system,
Mhm.
child support system.
Yeah.
And I also have opinions about that, talking from experience, but
Sure,
oh
sure.
well. And I actually talked with the and I was brainwashed and made to tell them, like, no, look at me, I'm doing well, I'm not abused, what are you talking about? Yeah.
Wow. So
Yeah,
wait, was
and
it
then,
did your mother put your brother in that space, or how did he get there? Your mother?
well, the mother, father, yes,
Oh,
because
because he wasn't. Mhm.
they didn't know what to do with him anymore. Also, put a kid that has a lot of traumas, of course, duh, um, with a narcissistic adult who cannot regulate their emotions,
Yeah,
it's gonna clash. And
totally.
I have sometimes I have flashbacks of, like, watching him physically, like it got physical. And yeah, I don't want to really don't want to go into that, but
Yeah, well, it's an important part
um
of where we're going to go right now, because I want to know your
yes,
background and where you come from. So all of this is
yeah,
very important, leading up to what we're going to
yeah.
discuss
Can
next.
you
But
imagine? He was 15 when he got kicked out, sent to 3 years later, 3 years after that, my younger brother got kicked out.
oh no,
He was left on the street, like,
what?
and they didn't want, like, after all the pain with my older brother, they didn't want to have to deal with my younger brother anymore. Also,
Wow.
a troubled kid with traumas
Well,
and
clearly. Wait, how old was your second brother when he got kicked out?
um also 15.
Also
It's like
15.
1.5 year older, one and a
Okay.
half year younger than
Okay.
me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. So he went on the
So
street. He didn't even go to the facility. He went to the street.
yeah, like, I I
Wow.
can't I can't remember the specifics.
That's all right.
Sometimes my
That's
brother still have to fill in, like, the gaps in my memory because I was so brainwashed. Um,
wow.
so I was kind of like, to survive, I was pushed in this narrative of, okay, at least let me finish high school, let me study and be
Yeah.
that perfect daughter,
Mm-hmm.
while also dealing with my own traumas
Yeah. Yeah.
and undiagnosed ADHD. And um, also, I feel a bit weird about ADHD because so
Mm-hmm.
many young people now are, like, neurodivergent and
I know.
self-diagnosing.
That's exactly correct. They're self-diagnosing. You got actually
Self-diagnosing.
diagnosed
Yeah.
by
Yeah,
a
yeah, yeah.
doctor.
Well,
That's right. Yeah.
earlier this year, but it's always been a struggle. But I only earlier this year, because it was still affecting my day-to-day life, and I went through so much therapy that
Yeah.
I was like, wait, okay, so now I can know for certain some things are not just trauma related. Let
Yes.
me figure out if it really is ADHD,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and
Great.
it is.
Yeah.
Um,
So I mean, I think a lot of people have these things, but I still think you have to be diagnosed by a professional. I don't think I could say I
yes,
have ADHD right now. I probably could, but I don't know until I go to a doctor. So I'm in agreement
yeah.
with you that people are just self-diagnosing themselves with all kinds of
Yeah,
stuff.
actually, I do wanna, because I kind of wanna, like, focus on the things that I see around me, and then with all the diagnosing and
Yeah, we'll get to
self-identification and all
that.
that.
Yeah, we'll get to
Yeah,
that. For first, I want to finish this little story about your about so you're dealing with your brothers kicked out of the house. You That's causing a lot of trauma. There is no doubt. Also
yeah,
being adopted from another country, that is
yeah.
also, and then having to deal with a mother who sounds completely insane. And now, so your brothers are out. Did you graduate? Did you go finish school?
I did finish high school. I
Great,
did graduate. I did study, go to college.
great.
I did all that, and at the same time, I was trying to just grow up and be a child, be a teenager. I
Hmm.
really tried, but there was no space for me to do that.
Hmm.
I was basically like putting into adult situations,
Right,
having to support this mother figure
right,
because she was mentally not able to do it herself, and I had to be her support, and I was her support till I was uh, 26, and from there, because I went through so much therapy,
hmm,
I started to become my own person
right.
after experimenting with my sexuality.
Uh-huh.
So I was I lived until my 28th birthday. Yeah, I lived as a bisexual woman,
Okay.
and
Okay.
I was in a straight relationship.
Uh-huh.
Didn't like it.
Okay.
I was in a lesbian relationship. Didn't like it, or like it's not even a matter of like it. It just, and I thought I will never find this whole romantic relationship thing interesting. Maybe I might be aromantic
Okay.
or asexual, so I
Yep.
started looking there, despite knowing that it was me being a guy all this time.
So that's what I want to ask. So now you're thinking you're a lesbian, you're thinking you're bisexual, but there's something off. And during this time, did you somehow always feel like maybe I'm a boy, or during let's just say
Yes, always,
always, but you just put it in the back of your
always.
head like this isn't real,
Yeah,
or this can't be. Did you ever hear about transsexual people before?
yeah. When I was 12, the
That's right,
children's network with
the cartoon.
yeah.
Right,
No, it
right.
wasn't cartoon. It was like
Oh, it
it
was an
was a
actual
reality
show.
show.
Oh, it was a
Yeah.
reality show. Okay,
Yeah,
great.
and she grew up. So
I see.
she was a
Right,
trans kid, and
right,
she actually grew up doing fine on. Well, I'm not sure about like the medical transition and how she
right.
dealt with it because
Yeah.
I haven't really looked into it, but she seems to be
Okay.
really like an actual happy
Person.
trans
Yeah.
woman.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Back in the day,
um,
it was different, so people were much more happy, and they just did
yeah,
what we did. So I see. So you're just
exactly.
shoving it in the back, like we all me did the
Yeah,
same thing.
but I was
And-
I was
you know.
13
Uh-huh.
and I already knew my name. I was 13 and I already knew
Yeah.
Marnix was going to
Totally.
be my name.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
So,
Yep.
yeah, no, definitely. I think when, because I'm on the waiting list for the gender clinic in Amsterdam, I
Okay.
think once I finally get my first appointment, I
Yes.
will have no problem going through the process.
Oh no,
And
definitely not. Yeah,
it's because of my age, and it
I
is
agree.
because of all the therapy that I got,
That's
and
right.
it is because um, I lived some years as an well an adult woman.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I was 19 when I thought I will never have kids, so I
Right.
don't want them. So why? So I was 19 when I wanted to transition, but I decided for myself I must have read somewhere about transsexuality, how sometimes or like how
Yeah.
like the process is first like the psychological side of it,
Mhm.
and I must have read something about that you have to make sure that there are no unresolved traumas because, and I think that's what we now see with the younger children. I'm not Generation C. I'm like a millennial.
Yeah.
But I see like the younger generation, um, um, dare I say it, just immediately getting affirmed in their gender confusion
Yeah.
instead of
Gender confusion.
getting the trauma therapy,
That's right.
or
That's right.
making sure that there is no autism,
That's right.
or making sure that there is no personality disorder.
That's right.
I
It's
went through like 8, 10 years of therapy, finally finally done, but I'm like, it's okay to never be done with therapy. There
I still
might be
go to
some points
therapy.
it
Are you kidding
exactly,
me? I've been going to
right.
therapy probably at this point 40 years. I still go to
uh,
therapy. I
and
do not believe you should ever stop. I don't believe it.
right,
Yeah, nope. I do not believe that. I think especially for people like you and I we have a mental disorder, and don't get all crazy
exactly.
out there, people. Marnix and I know what's going on, and we believe in our mental health care. So, so I'm a big believer, you know that, and you are too from my own interactions with you. But that being said, that's the problem. People just think like, "Oh, okay, well I did 20 minutes of therapy. I must be okay
Yeah,
now." Like, what? Like this is
yeah.
mental illness, or I would say more of a mental disorder forever. Doesn't go away. Doesn't go away. So now gender confusion. I like that you said that because I think that's what's going
It
on.
is what it is.
That's right. That's exactly right. I think it's gender confusion. I do not think it's gender dysphoria, and I think a lot of body, right? I think a lot of body dysmorphia or dysphoria is happening with these young people, and they're equating it to gender on some level.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like really young kids, they tend to be, again, gender neutral,
There you
and
go.
I wish that
Yes.
that I had a bit more of that freedom,
Yeah.
from my conservative parents,
Yes.
to experiment, the gender neutral aspects of me.
Yes.
And then
Yes.
growing up, teenagers, they have body dysmorphia, gender confusion because of so many things. And I
That's right.
think especially, and you and I can both, or maybe you can't relate. I'm sorry, because the generation thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but as girls, our bodies change, but also we start to get, to be more aware of how women are
Yes.
treated in society.
Great point. That's true.
And
Great point.
yeah, so for me, it was like, and also I did experience some sexual trauma, which
Mm.
was a, a big thing. Uh, that's why at 19, I was like, but wait, maybe that dysphoria that I'm experiencing, maybe it's coming, and the way that, like, I don't like my body, and maybe it comes from the sexual trauma,
Right.
and that I might tell myself, oh, life must be better as a boy, because then that would not have happened to me, which is
That's
not the
right.
case, because of course there are also guys out there that,
Yeah.
unfortunately, um, yeah, are also victims.
Of
So
sexual
it's,
trauma, of course. That's the thing.
yeah,
It's a
yeah,
misconception that it doesn't happen to boys. It happens to
yes,
boys and girls and men and women.
yes,
But it seems like it's not cool for men to talk about that. But hopefully that's going to change. But you're right.
yeah,
What you're saying is very true, and I think what I'm seeing today, a lot of these young girls are feeling like they don't want to deal with the sexual stuff, and they can just cut their boobs off and be masculine, and everything will go
yeah,
away. Is that what you
yeah,
see? Yeah, it's
yeah.
sad.
I think the danger is, because I love how, when I was younger, and I'm not that old, but
That's right.
I wasn't raised per se 24/7 on the internet,
That's right.
you know?
That's
So I read
right.
books, like actual books, like you didn't smell the paper. um, I think the danger is the internet, like the young kids, the younger generation being or like growing up being so heavily influenced by the internet.
That's right.
And
Yeah.
so the whole Me Too movement, if you
Hmm.
see that as a young girl,
Hmm. Yeah.
I don't know, like as a teenager, you start to be more aware of whether you're interested in it or not, but
Hmm.
you do, like, you are starting to be more aware of politics, of
Yes.
society, of any injustice, how basically how the world works. And then you
Right.
find your own identity, your own role within, like, what you are about to learn about the world.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, they're heavily influenced by the
Well,
internet.
because you're exact. I mean, like I'm 60, right? So I mean, God, we didn't have any of that, and then you barely grew up with that, and you can see the effects of the internet specifically around young generation of trans people. It would never have grown this quick, nor would it have ever been such a huge increase in young girls wanting to
Yeah,
be trans if the
yeah.
internet didn't exist. And that's how I know this is all false, because it's only because the internet is giving this sort of space to anyone who wants to be trans. Anyone.
Yeah,
I mean, so as a you're 29, you're young still. So when you
about to
see this,
turn 30.
okay, let's say you're 30. So at 30, which is still young, by the way,
Yeah.
I want to know, as someone who really did do your mental health care, it sounds like to me, you sound very grounded. You sound actually super intelligent and really focused. No, I'm serious, and I
No,
want to
I'm just
know.
laughing because ask the old friends from like the leftist friends, from the queer safer space I volunteered at. They all think I'm unhinged.
Okay, so talk a little bit about that. So let me hear that story, because this is very interesting to me. Yeah, so you
Yeah.
belong to an
So
organization there, and
yes.
yeah,
So, because I lived as a bisexual woman for so many years, I
okay,
never felt the need for the queer community because also I was like at a pride event in Amsterdam one time I was young and I was like, nah, this is not my crowd. And
okay,
also,
yeah,
I'm just a bisexual woman. I can pass for
okay,
just a straight
right,
woman. Like, I don't
yeah,
know.
yeah,
Also, like, dealing with inner transphobia, of course. So, like, anything related to that, like, let me just be bisexual in private.
sure,
um so when I finally did come out, it was also finally the moment that I got rid, or like I spread my wings and got out of the cage, the narcissism cage of
yeah,
the adoptive mother,
yeah,
well, and father. um he's a victim as well, if you ask me. uh So for the first time, I was like, I'm a trans guy. I did all my research by myself. Also, I do want to say this. I feel ashamed that only I'm only starting my transition right now that it seems to be a hype to be trans.
Oh gosh, no, don't go there, my friend. That has nothing to do with that. That's just a coincidence. That's a
It's a
coincidence.
coincidence,
That has
yeah, but
nothing to
also
do
like
with.
I know what my journey is. I know where I come from, and I know
That's why
I
your voice is important, my friend, because yeah, because you're not one of those people who are self-IDing. You're actually going through this system. You're working on yourself. You're 30 years old. That's when I transitioned, by the way, at 30. So I do think, and I do see, and I do hear what you're saying, but it has nothing to do with what's going on over there.
no.
You are a transsexual human, for sure.
I have so many things to say, especially since I started to post some content out there as well. I
Yeah.
started like this summer, started a new YouTube channel.
Hmm.
My YouTube channel actually was meant to be like, oh, look at me transitioning, look at all the changes.
Yeah.
But at some point, I was making new videos, I just didn't upload them.
Okay.
I understand now. I understand why, because
Oh,
it's not the message that I want to share. It's my private, like my transition is something private. It's something for me.
that's
So, and also I think by now we have so many trans influencers, they
right.
don't need another one,
Oh.
right?
Well, we do, but we need one like you,
Well,
and and Marcus, Marcus, the offensive tranny. So,
I
we need
do know
people like you
Marcus.
kids. Yeah, they're
Yeah,
he's
and
younger,
Blair.
and Blair, a great friend of
I
mine.
watched
Yep,
Blair too.
yep.
I think it's funny, by the way, because I've known about you for a really long time. But the thing is, the first time that your name uh, um, crossed my, like, I
Hmm.
don't know, we were on Hives, MySpace,
Hmm.
Tumblr,
Yep, I was on
um,
all that.
and
Mhm.
right, and I was like, oh, this old dude, like I couldn't relate to you,
Of
like, oh,
course
cool for
not.
him, but
Yeah, yeah. Of course
so
not.
of course I was following the younger
Of course, of
well,
course.
when influencers were not actual
Yeah.
influencers, um
The
because
younger
I think that's a
generation has
dangerous
always
thing.
the younger generation has always been like that to me because I'm older than a lot of you and I've been around a lot longer. I've been putting trans stuff on the internet for 20 something years, right? And prior to that. So I've been around a lot longer than you. So when you guys come along and you
Yeah,
see me, you're like, he's just an old guy. He doesn't know what he's talking. It's normal. It doesn't hurt my feelings.
yeah,
What does it none of it hurts my feelings. What bothers me is the way some of these kids dismiss my work in the trans community and the way that they talk about me as if I am transphobic or have internalized. I mean, that stuff is the stuff. You don't have to listen to me or like me, but you do not need to disrespect my work in this community that I've done for many years and
yeah, but
care about
also
you. Yeah.
also so the thing is, I will go back to the story of the volunteer work, but like the thing is, um I accidentally, sorry, English is like not my first language,
That's all right.
as you can
That's
tell
all
by
right.
my Dutch accent,
No, you're
but
great. Yeah.
I came across a video by Marcus,
Hmm.
and I think it's great what he's doing.
Hmm.
I don't really I'm not really active watching his content,
Sure.
uh, which we're allowed to, still we are allowed to have our own opinions.
That's right.
Don't I don't really agree with some of the things he's saying,
You don't have
but
to.
then of course, there's also some overlapping things. So
Sure.
I feel more drawn towards your content and the content of Blair, and
Hmm.
I think even with Blair, sometimes I'm like, okay, I completely disagree with you, but the
Great.
way that she goes about it, and I think she's actually really respectful
She is.
in the way and she's
She
really
is.
smart.
Oh, she's very smart. Very smart. That's why people dislike her in the trans community because she's
Yeah,
saying the same things. Me and her are saying exactly the same things, just in a different manner. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
and also
Yeah.
I think her presence, I think, or like the way people view her, she's more like a political. I mean, well, actually, that's her
Yeah.
content, right? She is a
Yeah. She's a political commentator.
politics.
Yes.
Right. So
Yes.
then, obviously, and you can agree or disagree, but
That's
she's
right.
still a trans woman,
That's
and
right.
her voice still matters.
That's right.
Um, but I saw you in one of Marcus his videos,
Yep.
and I thought, wait, that's Buckangel. So like I just had a flashback from when I was younger and still in the closet with inner
Right.
transphobia. Like, oh, that dude is, well, fun for him that he's trans. Good for him. Lucky him. But like, um, and just the things that you were saying, I was like, let me check out his channel. And then the interviews that you have, the conversations that you have, um, and you have like really interesting people Well, that's
Thank you.
whoa, that's really arrogant to say now
No,
that
no,
I'm
no, 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 no,
actually
no,
here.
no, no. Don't. No, it isn't because you are interesting, and I said it prior to the end. No, you are interesting. Don't you?
Thanks.
That's not a bad thing. You're an interesting person. You have a story to tell, and that's why you're sitting with me. So I appreciate that you see that on my channel.
Yeah,
I'm giving people like you a space to, we need to have more representation in the world. And we don't just have one kind of trans person or why one
right.
person transition. So your voice is very important in this, space. I want you to know that, Marnix, and I really do appreciate you
Thanks.
showing up and
Thanks.
at least having the conversation. This younger generation will not have a conversation with me or with
No.
anybody who opposes what they're
Well,
doing.
that's the thing. Because I thought there was nothing wrong with supporting you. So as I started to talk a bit more about it,
Yeah.
um, now I think we go back to the story of
Yes. Yeah.
I heard, but like Buck Angel, but he's transphobic and blah blah blah, and he's really dangerous. You have to be careful with him. But
Dangerous.
but actually, also like, why would I want to be on your channel if I don't want to be linked as a another content creator, if I don't want to be linked with someone that is dangerous.
That's
So
right.
yes, I do support you, and I think it's awesome what you're doing. Also, how dangerous can it be for an older trans man to no, but like to be worried
That's right.
the about children,
That's right.
because that's what we're talking about. We're talking about children. I don't have children of myself,
Mhm.
but I can, like, I have eyes and ears, and um, as a child, I went through some stuff.
Yes.
My mother, so like my birth mother, my actual mother, who, by the way, to end the story of the adoption, I reconnected with my actual mother this year, this summer, and that's also why I'm doing so well. Why
It
I have a
is.
smile on my
Oh
face.
my
She's
God.
amazing.
Oh gosh. Wow. That just makes my heart go
Yes,
wham wham. Wow.
she is amazing. It's the thing is, so the thing is, why I say like, oh, I'm about to turn 30. It's because trigger warning. I suicidal thoughts, or
Oh
like more
no.
suicidal ideation.
Oh no.
I for years, like my whole 20s, I had a deadline. So,
Mm,
and
yeah.
this is the first time I'm actually like, I don't have to
Yeah.
go public with this, but just to show
Right.
where I'm coming from. So when you think like, if I turn 30 and nothing has changed, I don't feel better. Um, there's no future for me.
Yeah.
Basically, you have nothing to lose.
Yeah.
But still, there was hope. So there was like suicidal
Ideation.
ideation.
Yep. That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
So, but as my 30, my, how do you say that, 30th
Mm-hmm. 30th. Mm-hmm.
birthday
Mm-hmm.
is coming up this year, I freaked out. Uh, the like last year, um, which is also part of the volunteer queer safer space story. So I freaked out and I got mentally really unstable. Really important to know, of course, because my deadline was, um, and I could not have done all this work and just be like, okay, that's it, I'm done, and not have the answers to my questions. My questions, of course, being, why was I adopted?
Mm,
Who am I? And also a reason why I didn't transition for so long was because I was struggling with, will my birth mother accept me and love me for who I
mm.
am?
Wow.
I was so we sh- yeah, on Facebook. I will someday I will tell I will share my story on how everything happens. But we started talking on Facebook in May this year, and I was prepared for her being like, I don't want nothing to do with you, and or um, hey, I'm so happy to have my children back because also, of course, my two brothers, but I don't accept you as a trans.
Right.
That would mean the end of my story.
Right.
The thing is, she accepts me for who I am. Like last week, I was, because as I'm making my YouTube content, and that's why it's so important to have you here, because I feel so like, well, if Buck can do it, if other people can do it, and we start to get more voices, then I can do it too.
That's right.
So, but I had an emotional moment last week where I was like, I'm so done with this.
Mm-hmm.
I might as well just go back into the closet and live as the bisexual woman.
Mm-hmm.
And I was I was crying over this because it's really just the things that I'm seeing. It just hurts me. So
Well,
I have to
tell
be
me.
careful that.
I want to know what was it that made you say I'm so over this? What are you so over that you're going to go back to living as a bisexual? What you're seeing in the trans community?
Yes, the trans community that is representing people like me.
Okay, great. That's right. So I want you to I
Yeah.
want you to go to that story of the queer space. Tell me a little bit
Yeah.
about your experience there.
Sorry. Yeah,
No,
so
it's okay.
basically my mother said like, please don't live as a woman because you're not happy as a woman, and I
Great.
love you as my son.
Amazing. Amazing. She really does love you. That she said
Yes.
that. She really does love
Yes.
you and she cares about you.
Yes.
Wow, that is
Exactly.
just incredible, my friend. And I could see such a glow in you. I do. I see it. I see the happiness and the glow that you connected to your mother. That is just
Yeah.
beautiful, amazing, and I think it's going to help you in your journey of
Definitely.
transition
Definitely.
and as a human because you connected to something that was missing out of your life.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
And
have other friends who are adopted, and it's a
yeah.
thing with adopted people that I would never understand. I grew up with my birth mother and father, but I would never be able to understand that disconnect that people who get adopted have. Even if they have a great adoption, they're still having this
Yeah.
disconnect from their actual birth. That's that connection you have with your birth mother. I mean, it's a real thing we can't
Yeah.
disconnect from. So yeah, I think that's incredible. And wow, there's so many stories and avenues we could go with you, but I want to hear your
Yeah.
experience now
Sorry.
with the queer. No, don't be sorry. I want to hear your connection with the queer space.
Yeah. So finally, I'm like, okay, this is 1.5 years ago. I need the queer community. So in the city um, where I lived close by, there was this queer safer space, and I was like,
Okay.
okay, that's cool. I can check it out,
Uh-huh.
I
Uh-huh.
suppose. The moment I walked in there, not only did they ask my name, but also my pronouns. No, but listen, my experience that evening was because I was not on testosterone. I looked like a lesbian girl, a butch lesbian,
Okay. Okay.
which which
Okay.
is fine. Just
Sure.
the fact that I'm not that.
But you were
um,
identifying
so
as male? Were you identifying as male at the time?
yes, so I
Okay.
said, "Hey, I'm Marnix," and they were like, "Hey, Marnix, what are your pronouns?" And I was like,
Okay.
"My pronouns. I'm a trans man, so I guess he, him, like
Mm-hmm.
duh, obviously."
Mm-hmm.
So it was amazing because in that space,
Mm-hmm.
so I came back in that space. I didn't have to explain who I was.
Great.
Marnix, he, him.
Great.
Amazing. So 1 month in, and I start to volunteer there,
Okay.
and I start to get to know more people, and and so I start to get to know non-binary people and people that go by other pronouns. Um, but keep in mind, I just lost touch. How do you say that? Like
Yeah.
with my adoptive parents, and even
Okay.
though they well, she was horrible. a horrible person, like, well, she can't really help herself, it's still something that you need to grieve, because it was
Hmm.
the life well, it was my life that I was used to
Right.
until it wasn't there anymore. Um, so I was really vulnerable, and
Hmm.
I was homeless for a few months,
Wow.
and also my deadline was coming up. I was extremely vulnerable. So now I know this, and that's also what I want to say, about all the, like, that the trans being a hype. It's especially the vulnerable people that get affected, that get influenced. So
That's
we're
right.
talking about children, teenagers,
Hmm.
people on the spectrum,
Okay.
uh, people with traumas, and I
Hmm.
talk with psychologists. I read a bit about it, and it's just, if you're a parent and your trans comes out to you, especially, well, especially if they're a minor,
Right.
teenager,
Right.
young, how do you say that?
What?
Well, a young adult,
Adolescent or a young person?
adolescent, yes.
Adolescent. Yeah.
um, Please get them into therapy.
That's right.
Not maybe end, or, but not only for gender dysphoria.
Right.
Get them to
That's
therapy to make
therapy.
sure there is no personality disorder, to make sure
Yes.
they're not on the spectrum, to make
Right.
sure that there are not unresolved traumas.
Right.
Because I was 19. Oh, I don't want to have kids. I was 25, and I was really seriously considering, maybe I do want to have kids, biological kids.
Yeah.
So I will make sure to first create that family and then transition. That's
Sure.
my choice. Like,
Yeah.
people can do whatever they want, but like, that was my choice. But
Yeah.
would I have gone
No,
through
you
like
wouldn't
medical
have.
transition?
Yeah, you wouldn't have even thought about having a family at 15 or 16 or even 20. You wouldn't have thought about it. You
Right?
wouldn't have thought of freezing your eggs. You wouldn't have thought of, you would be like, I want my boobs
Exactly.
gone. And that's exactly what's happening. That's why a 15-year-old cannot make such a drastic, come on, people, it's a drastic, life changing, altering, irreversible choice. What if this child changes their mind at 25 and wants to have babies and they're not going to be able to
Exactly.
do that? It's irresponsible of us as adults to act like children know that it's not that they're changing their t-shirt and their hat. They're
No.
literally physically destroying on some level the body that will not come back. You can't regrow your breasts or regrow your uterus. It's gone forever. Thank you for saying that, Marnix. It's so important that people hear. It's why it's a choice. He's an adult making an adult
Exactly.
choice. So I want to hear more about that queer space because I know
Yeah.
something
Sorry.
bad happened. No, no, I know something bad happened.
Yes.
Yeah,
Something bad happened. That
yeah,
was also when I reached out to you.
yeah.
So, um, I started noticing. Also, I was vulnerable. I didn't have the mental space to even argue that much,
Yes, that's
but
right.
I started noticing when I pointed out things they were discussing, like, should we transition children, blah blah blah, and these were also young people
Of
discussing
course,
if
of course.
children should
That's right.
transition.
That's
But
right.
also there is the thing, the transgender vet here in the Netherlands,
Mhm.
the this law, basically for self-identification. They really want to push that.
Wow, just wow.
Please, no. Please, no. In 10, if we
Dangerous.
do that, in 10 years,
That's
we
right.
will hear a lot more of the detransitioners. And I feel like right now there are already, or it's just the algorithm feeding me the detransitioners, but I
Yeah,
do feel like more
yeah.
and more
No
detransitioners
more
are
daily,
right?
daily. I see it every day. Yep,
And they're
yep.
like around my age, a bit
That's
younger,
right.
or but
Younger, younger, younger friend. Not
so
your age, not 30. These are 15, 16, 20-year-old kids. So they're not. You're not a kid.
no, but like I don't know, like 25, and they go like, oh, I'm actually detransitioning. I made a mistake.
Wow.
And
Just wow.
yeah, my parents were misinformed. Anyways, the queer safer space.
Yeah.
Um, a lot of trauma bonding.
Oh God.
So me being 29, I was trauma bonding with
Okay.
teenagers, with just they were my friends, so I really want to be respectful to them.
Yes.
But just the trauma bonding and being like, oh, look at us, all depressed and all on the spectrum or
Yep.
neurodivergence. Also, that's why I'm like ashamed of my ADHD, because it's such an identity. Like
It's not an identity,
I
it's a disorder.
I happen to be trans. I happen to be, and also like I don't even have my diagnosis yet,
Mhm.
but I'm pretty sure this has been consistent, and that's also it's about consistency. And I happen to have ADHD, So, but do I go around and be like,
No.
also okay? So the thing is, the victim role the victim role. So a lot about like, oh, but I'm trans and they misgendered me, so now I am really angry. I'm really sad and
That's right.
boo hoo. And I saw like um, 2 Saturdays in a row, trans activists, or like more like the police having to deal with trans activists.
Mhm.
One Saturday at Pride, and one Saturday because they were having a protest across the field of Let Women Speak
Oh God.
in the Netherlands.
Wow.
And with banners saying, transphobic, kill yourself.
I saw
Those
that.
people do not represent me. Just
That's
to be
not
clear.
trans. By the way, friend, that's not trans activism. That is not
No.
trans activism. That is ideology. That is cult behavior. We don't tell people to kill themselves. We don't go against people. We don't go against women who have their own space and want to talk. Why would that bother us as trans people? Why
I,
is why
I
is that
talked
such
to
a
some
problem?
I talked to some women,
Yeah.
and or they came in my DMs or commenting on my
Okay.
content because
Yeah.
they're supporting me, because they
Right.
see my opinions or like my view as a trans man.
Who
So
happens to be a
are they transphobic?
biological you happen to be a biological female, so you can never
Yes, I
get rid
keep
of
saying
that.
that,
So what the heck's wrong with everybody who's trans male? How dare you turn your
right?
back on women like that? You actually
Right?
are a biological female, and you're turning on your own people on some level. Trans
Nope.
activism does not include killing people or telling them they're scum or encouraging
No.
violence towards women because you're so weak that you can't understand who you are, that's what it is. It's weakness, Marnix. It's weakness because they don't know who they are, so they're so fearful of anyone exposing their agenda. So
Yeah,
it's
but
upsetting when I hear that the trans act, because now me and you get lumped into those people. Me and you are
yeah.
not violent weirdo freaks who worry about
No,
one another.
not
It's
at
like,
all.
what?
Not
Like,
at
God,
all. I don't have
not
the
at
energy to
all.
go out
No.
on the field, gather all my friends and make a banner.
So was that the queer
So
safe space that was part of that? The
yeah,
queer.
I think
Mm-hmm.
also like collective narcissism, if that even
Totally.
is a thing.
To-
I'm not an expert,
no, but
but
that's a great analogy
I
or
think
example.
it's
Collective
so
narcissism.
strange.
Great.
It is the
Yeah,
strangest
it
thing to
is.
me,
Great.
at least,
Yep. Yep.
to read that your kid is trans, or like, would you rather have a dead kid?
Oh God,
And
that
like
is
these
sick.
self-identified trans people, um, being like my trans rights matter because otherwise I would kill myself.
Wow.
What kind of manipulation is that?
Right.
I
Bam.
was raised by a
Bam.
narcissistic mother. I know a narcissist when I see one.
Yeah, that's right. You see what they're doing. That is
It's
so
victim
insane.
role and
There you
guilt
go. That's
tripping,
guilt
manipulation.
tripping, manipulation, gaslighting, all of it. You said it, Marnix.
And
All of it.
but they love to point the fingers
That's right.
at people like us.
Like
And I
me
don't
and
think
you.
we are extreme in our opinions, in our
First off,
views.
I'm a 31-year transitioned transsexual. How dare you say I have remember they're all about lived experience. I have 31 years of lived experience as a transsexual. How dare you say those things to me? I have a different experience and a different vantage point. I see things from a different 30 years experience. They have 1 month and they're telling, so that's
Yeah.
where the disconnect from this community comes to me. These kids are not actually like you and I. They are
No,
looking for
the only thing
something.
I see is a worried older trans man.
Thank
Honestly,
you. That's all I care. You know what? Hate me all you want because you'll like me in 5 years when you realize what's happening is not real and you're being sucked into this. You can hate me all you want, but I guarantee you, tons of those kids will come back and say thank you. Thank you for saying
yeah,
what you needed to say because it doesn't matter. I
yeah,
don't do this for that. I do it for them, but I don't do it for brownie points or for likes or all of that stuff. It's like
yeah.
I do it because I care about this community and I care about people like you, Marnix, who could get sucked into that at that queer safe space,
Yes,
which scares me. Those queer safe spaces.
it scared me too. So there were two trans events that I didn't organize, but also I didn't intend. You know why? Because the speakers that they invited at these events were non-binary. So I was asked later, "Hey, you are a trans guy. Why weren't you there?" And I said, "Well,
Wow.
did you see the speakers non-binary? That doesn't represent me. I'm really sorry." Yeah, but the trans guy that we invited canceled last minute. I said, "I am a trans guy. I'm okay. I might sometimes uh, be a bit chaotic in my speaking, but I, I you can ask me to do the public speaking. Like I would love
Yeah.
that to
Yeah.
because now you're leaving. You're like they're literally redefining trans,
I know.
like the
Non-binary
whole
is not
trans
trans.
community.
That's right. That's right.
It's a
That's
gender
why I call myself
expression.
transsexual. I don't call
Yeah,
myself trans.
I
I'm
started that
transsexual.
too.
That's right.
But
Transsexuals are people like you and I, and we don't identify as trans. We're
no,
female who want to be male. FTM. It's totally different. Those people co-opted us and made it into an identity
yes,
choice. You see, you know exactly what I'm talking about. They're choosing an identity. We're not choosing this.
yes,
Yeah, I mean, my
no,
God, I wanted to have been born a man. I would much rather have been born a man, a cisgender man, whatever you want to call it.
right?
I don't want to be this
Also,
trans person.
also, uh, like to choose to transition and all the struggles that come with it
That's right.
just to prove a point and to fight the system.
That's why
No,
we've become a political pawn. We've become
no,
a political
no.
space. This is not politics, people. This is our lives. It's a medical condition. It is something to help us move forward and become successful humans. That's why you need to see what Marnix is saying. As Marnix is a young generation who's saying, wait a minute, these people are not me. I'm not the only one saying this. That's why young voices are so important in this, because I just look like an old
Right?
guy going, hey, wah. But no, there's a lot of guys like Marnix out there going, hey, wait a minute, I'm not part of that. You don't want to be connected to
Right.
something that says kill people or like turfs, kill turfs, or what is that? What is that, my friend?
Right.
It's sick.
So everything that you see on TikTok, on the internet,
Yes,
all the radical trans activism,
yes,
all the turfs and all that,
yes.
I experienced those conversations
God,
IRL in real
wow,
life. And
wow,
it just
wow.
shocked me, but I wasn't allowed to question anything. I
That's
was
scary.
silenced. So the thing is, there was chaos. There was drama. There was finger pointing because they couldn't agree on the level of racism within the organization.
God, are they crazy? Oh my
So,
God.
and and I'm ashamed to say this, but I was part of the because of my Colombian background.
Sure,
Um, I was part of that side,
of
the
course.
side that bullied away the white lesbians because the lesbians were transphobic and they were white, so they were also racist.
Wow.
those white lesbians were my friends, and I bullied them away. This organization is now going through a transition. Funny enough, lots of volunteers that I worked with are not part of it anymore.
Hmm.
And
Interesting.
yes, and I was sharing, like, I made a video online, and like already because of my mental health, I was like, I cannot deal with this drama. Also, I'm becoming like, I'm turning into this monster. I'm turning into this person that I don't like. I don't like the bullying. I don't like the
Yeah.
backstabbing. Also, I pointed out to my POC friends, hey, but wait a minute, what you're doing now, excluding, like, that's what you are saying
That's
about
right.
the white lesbians, that they are excluding you. Like, so
Yeah.
um, but I made a video, posted it online about how cisgender is not a slur. And because I was mentally getting better, and because I was not in that queer safer space anymore, I was um, I was open to receive feedback. So I had two comments. If I was a radical trans activist, I would have been like, "Oh, haters and transphobes." But now I was open for to receive feedback, and I read like how, and I don't know the sexuality or if they were trans or the political, because I don't mind. Feedback is feedback. I can work with that.
Mhm.
That's how we grow.
Mhm.
Um, so I read that and I was like, wait a minute, let me look into this. Cis, is it a slur or not? And I started to do the research, and I started to do research on turfs, like what actually is a turf. And a lot of my opinions that I had prior to joining the queer saver space came back, like,
Mm.
because I'm feeling more confident. I know who I
Mhm.
am. Also, like, I was so scared of watching detransition stories because they are a threat to the trans community. So
Yeah.
what if I, as a trans guy, not diagnosed yet, what if I watch detransition stories? Maybe, maybe I will detransition too, because maybe I will be influenced by that, or like, I don't know what I was thinking. So I started doing that. To like, I started to get more information because I was fed so many radical leftist
That's right.
well, information,
Ideology. That's right.
ideology, gender
Yep.
ideology.
That's right.
And my eyes opened, and I was like, wait a minute, this was the person that I was. I have
Mhm.
my own set of values. I know where
Mhm.
I'm coming from. I know who I am.
That's right.
I don't need the validation of my extreme left friends,
That's right.
who all dropped me, by the way. They all dropped me. I
Friends.
got I got
Friends.
banned by the organization. And
Excellent
that's
job. Excellent job.
I got banned.
That
Yeah,
means you're
which
doing
is,
something right.
but listen,
Wow.
Buck, and still, like, this afternoon, I talked to a friend who actually was like, let's talk, because I
Yeah.
want to know where this is
Yeah.
coming from.
Yeah.
I am still open for conversation,
Great. Good for you. So am I.
banned or not.
That's right.
Like,
And
coming
then
to
what
my
did they say?
DMs,
Are
we're
they going to
gonna.
have a conversation with you?
We had a conversation this afternoon,
Great.
and I didn't have time yet to reflect on it, but
Yeah.
I do feel like I held back a bit
So
because
you'll get used to it.
still,
It's new for you because these people are so
yes,
insane that you can't have a normal conversation because they're not willing to even open their mind around any other
no,
discourse that goes against. So you're having a conversation with somebody who's stuck in the
with a friend.
ideology, and that's a
Yeah, but
problem.
I mean,
Yes.
and the thing is, I love feedback, because that's how we
Yes.
grow as a
Right.
human being, and
That's
also
right.
like as a content creator. And
That's right.
um, I don't want to really talk about this conversation I had this afternoon, especially because I didn't reflect on it yet, but
No, but we can't because I'm
some
gonna have to.
feelings came back.
Uh-huh. Hmm. Hmm.
But yeah, just okay, so not about him, but like the people that I met in general, they love to educate.
I know.
you they love to educate anyone
Yeah.
who is cisgendered, anyone who is straight. They love to
But I want to,
educate.
but educate me on what? Educate me on what you believe, not what is reality. So that's what they're not understanding. You're educating me on what you believe, but show me facts because I'm a fact based kind of dude. If you show me facts that puberty blockers are the best thing ever for any child, and you can show me all kinds of amazing research coming from your country, by the way, your country started that, and they have shown that
Yes,
it doesn't work. Yet when you bring that up in your country, people just try to skirt the issue. They call you, they won't have the conversation, Marnix. So they're full of shit because they actually only want to indoctrinate you with their education. It's education
yes.
is
It's
indoctrination. That's
dangerous
what it
what
is.
I'm doing. It's dangerous to talk to you.
That's right. You know why it is? Because that's what cults do. It's dangerous to talk to the
Yeah,
person who is giving you information that could make you think about what you're doing. They don't want you to have a different thought process. So, yes, on some level, I'm
yeah,
dangerous to their ideology. They even saying it, I'm dangerous to their
yeah.
ideology. So, thank you. Yeah, you're right. And speaking to
Exactly.
your friends out there who are probably going to watch this, thank you. You're right. I'm dangerous to you, and I'll never stop, and I'll continue to say the things I need to say, and I will take you all out because you're lying. You stole what trans is. You've co-opted it. You've completely making a mess of what it means for Marnix and I to have a transition that's peaceful, loving, and we care about the world. You don't, people. You care only about yourself and indoctrinating as many young people that you can.
Yes.
It's
By the
gross.
way, two things. The data, the facts that they come with,
Facts.
the facts that they come with, when I see it, I wonder who did they ask? Like who
Google.
like who
Google.
no, no, but like the researchers, right?
Yeah,
The
that's right.
researchers, they I don't know how they gather their how do you call them, the people that they do the research on with,
Yeah, yeah.
um
The subjects, the subject
the
matters.
subjects, yes.
Yes, that's right.
But if you are not an independent, like sometimes journalists or researchers,
Yeah,
I I go to the source and I
yeah,
go to their social media of the researcher, of the
yeah,
journalist that comes
yeah.
with the research, and I look at what they're posting. I look at their followers.
Hmm.
So if I see like mostly left content, then I'm
That's right.
like, maybe you're a bit biased.
Maybe you think that's all they do. They just that's why I open my. If you notice, all my interviews are different. I've asked all kinds of these people. Here's what I'm gonna. And Marnix, we're gonna have to end because I have to go to my live today, my
Yeah,
YouTube
sorry.
live. But listen, listen. I think you should ask any of those people who are calling me dangerous. I would love to have them as a guest on my show. So I'm going to say this to the world out there. If you oppose my opinions, come to me. I will put you right where Marnix is, and I'll have the conversation, and the whole world can see me and you have a debate about why I'm dangerous and why you think you're educating. Because they're not educating. They're the ones who are instilling ideology in young people. I'm trying to educate young people to make a choice and understand that you have choices to not transition or to transition. That's what people need to hear from me and you. You have choices. You don't have to transition right away. You can take your time, figure stuff out, and then make that choice. So,
Yes.
Marnix, I really value you. We have so much me and you could say. It's ridiculous. You should bring me on your show. So bring me on your show. I'm not kidding. And we'll have another conversation. And I'll bring you back,
Yeah.
though, because you have a huge, amazing story there. But
Oh, thank you.
yeah,
Thank
you're a
you.
beautiful
Yeah, but
human.
also
Yeah,
thank you. I
yeah.
will be making more videos, so
Great.
I don't know if I'm allowed to promote myself, but
Of
I'm
course you
open
are. I'm going to put your
to
I'm going to put all your information in the thing below where people will be able to
okay, thank
contact
you.
you. I'll put your YouTube channel, your Twitter, your IG, whatever, everything and anything so people can contact you. So contact Marnix. He's a smart young person who has the same views that I do, which is, I very much value young people who see what I'm trying to do and connect with me and understand that we might not agree on everything, but the most important thing is these young people.
Exactly.
That's right. We don't have to agree on everything, Marnix, and we probably
No.
don't. And that's okay. That's not. You think I agree with everything of my partner? Are you kidding me? Me and her are
Oh
always.
God.
We're always getting
Yeah.
into it. I love it. I love
Right.
that stuff.
So,
So follow Mark. Okay, yeah. You have something you want to say? Yeah.
yeah, follow me. I just wanna have like just one last message,
Sure.
if I can
Yes.
share,
Of course. Of
um,
course.
is that I am looking for like the real trans community,
Yeah.
but the thing is, community, it's a dangerous word
I know.
once people start talking for you. Like how do
Yeah.
you say that in good
Yeah.
English?
Talking over you or talking for you or
Like
representing
like
you. Representing you.
representing, when
Yes.
people represent like a whole bunch of people.
That's
For
right.
me, community is like-minded people
There
with
you go.
overlapping views.
Excellent.
So if you want a healthy community, that's what you should create and make
That's
sure
right.
to keep that.
That's right. That's right. Thank you, Marnix. That's beautiful. That's exactly right. That's community is about diverse opinions. Community isn't one thought process. That's a cult. But if community has different kinds of people in it with different kinds of that we don't have a trans community anymore, by the way. So that's the sad part. That's why we're creating a transsexual community where me and you can come together
Yes.
and have these conversations and show the world
Yes.
the difference between them and us. There's a big difference, people. Big difference. And I think people are starting to see me and you and say, oh, I get it. Transsexual people. These other people are just wingnuts who are, I don't know what they're doing, but they're out of control.
People are so supportive of us.
They are. They are. I have a huge
Just
following of amazing people. Yes.
the relief in their eyes, no matter if they're
Yep.
straight or whatever,
That's
the
right.
relief in their eyes when I say, "Listen, I don't make a big deal out of it,"
That's right.
you know?
That's right, friend. You're
Oh,
awesome.
okay.
So follow Marnix, give him some love. Please, comments are always great. People say such amazing things here. So I really do appreciate all of you for watching this and, liking, subscribing, send this to your friends, all of that stuff. And so with that, I'm headed to my live, but I'll see you at the live. And remember, I
Yes.
very much value people like Marnix, and it's so important that we get these voices out there. This is how change is going to happen for the better. So thanks, Marnix. Have a beautiful day. And